This is iCivics. It's a free for both teachers and students website that provides civic-based and now last spring and this fall they've had some history-based games, print-off lessons, and even writing activities for teachers to use with their students. It's entirely free. It was created by, or the mastermind behind it was Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. She was appointed Chief Justice in 1981 by Ronald Reagan and retired in 2006. And during her time in the Supreme Court and even afterwards just a regular life, she realized that the civic education in the United States, we were struggling with that. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't engaging for young minds. So she went about and started creating iCivics. Over the years, it's evolved. I'll show you up here. At first, it was just games with standalone lessons. One of the more popular games is Do I Have a Right? What the students have here is they have lawyers expert at different amendments, and then people will come into the room and they advise, and based on their problem, they advise on which lawyer to go to based on what amendment that lawyer specialized in. It's a fun game. It's an engaging game. They also have standalone lessons, have their stuff divided up in curriculum units. And the nice thing about this is it separates its lessons out, high school, middle school. You have your basic lesson plans that you download. It gives you the teacher, worksheets for the students, extended activities, and it's basically step-by-step lesson. Hand this out to the students. Read this to the students. All right, now hand this out. Contains objectives and everything else. And it was all right, but a couple of years ago they really hit it big when they added these extension packets. Because instead of just, hey, here's Do I Have a Right a Game, now play it, now there's a whole file that goes with it where a lesson plan before it and then a debriefing lesson plan after it. So instead of it just being, hey, here's a game, play it and learn, now it's, hey, this is some background information, we're going to play this game, and then now, this is why this is important, this is why we learn it, classroom discussion, so it legitimizes the games. The thing that I'm going to talk about today is their new DB Quest, or document-based question activities. It's good, especially if, the state standards here in Kansas have started focusing on writing skills and interpreting primary documents, and that's exactly what their DB Quest things are. So what you do is you set up an account for free as a teacher, and once you have an account, you can go and create a classroom for your students. And you can either create accounts for them or have them create accounts and join you, and then you can assign the different games, or in this case, that document quest activity. Now, like I was saying, some new things they added last spring and this fall was they started doing some of these document-based question things, and these are more history lessons than I would say civic lessons, but they're still a combination of both. I'm going to go through this. There's two options as you set it up. You can either have the students do a guided option, or you could have them do it as a standalone on their own option. So there's some differentiated learning. Your higher learners that don't need guidance, you can have them do the non-guided way. For your learners that need a little bit more guidance, you can have them do guided. It's really up to you as a teacher. I went ahead and started a session. So just to save time, and I went with guided. The students pick a character, and you'll see that character in a second, that advises them on different things. But what they do is they'll go through, they read the document-based question, and they have to decide, all right, first off, each primary document has 3 questions with it, and then different analysis. The first one, what type of source is this? It's an interview. It's not a student activist, but I clicked on that just so if you don't click on the right answer, your character that you chose comes up and says, hey, that's not the right answer if you do the guided one. As you go through, it then gives you questions. And the nice thing here is that it highlights key parts in the document, in the interview in this case, and the student has to drag and drop those parts to answer these different questions. So what is an example of economic hardship faced by downtown business? Businessmen were afraid they're going to go bankrupt. You drag it there. You have about 3 different options for each of these categories. If they drag the wrong one, it won't let you continue. Then after you're done going through the drag and drop, your final part is, write in your own words question number, an answer to question number 1. What's an example of economic hardship? And then it brings you to question number 2. As you can see, I've already done that for time's sake. Question number 3. And then it has you summarize those 3 questions there in your own words overall. Once you're done, it then brings you to the next part of the assignment, which is a picture. And again, the same concept there. What type of source is this? It's photography, but if you put it's an interview and you try to click continue, character says no, it's not. So we know it's a photograph and we know it's journalists that did it. And then same way with the primary document, it has questions. And you have to drag and drop these options here, explaining what's going on in the picture into these different boxes. And if you don't put the right one, it won't let you go on. And then the next stage there, you have the questions that you drag and drop, and you have to put it in your own words, or the student has to put it in their own words. So they go through there, there's an overall summary, and then next goes to a video interview. They'll watch it. They have to, first step, all right, what is this? It's an interview. Second step, who is this? Activist. Then they go on, and then it's the same thing. It's dragging, dropping pieces of evidence to answer the various questions. So according to Mrs. Nash, who needed to bring about change? And like people in the dormitories was one possible answer. Next question, how did the students prepare for the protest? Let's see here. If I was a student, I'd be looking through this. Workshops. Okay, workshops. Oh, you have to drag it just right. Okay, workshops. And testing lunchroom counters. Guess that's one downside, the time it takes to do that. Okay, and then what impact did these have on people in the movement? Start feeling power of an idea. So go through there, and then again, you're writing questions for each of these sources, and then the final stage, and it won't let the student go on unless you actually type the question. I'm going to quickly just answer these with text so that I can show you the final part. So the student comes up with their own answer. Hopefully it's a good one. And then at the end, there's a writing prompt again, like with all the others. And it brings you through a whole nother, now you're comparing documents. And basically, once you get all this information typed up, the students have then put together research, and they get to write and pull it all together into one big essay. They can print it off for the teacher to prove they answer the questions, and so you as a teacher can double check and make sure they didn't just write in gibberish like I just did. It's very good. It goes with the Kansas State standards, and it's all free. And they've come up with some new ones this fall, and based on the popularity, they're saying that they're going to come up with more. I recommend this for any government or history teacher.